Okay, YouTube, this is my old Delta scroll saw that I have been reconditioning. Um, Long story short, when I bought it, I didn't really know anything about it. In the process of just tinkering around with it, I kind of realized that there was a couple parts that were broken and or missing. So I kind of educated myself as best I could online, trying to figure out what parts I would need and where to get them from. Which has, it was a little difficult. These parts are not readily available, so you got to do some digging. But anyway, I found a couple of resources, found a couple of parts, just bought a couple of parts. Just wanted to show you a couple of things. I was looking on YouTube for any kind of information on this particular saw, and there really is not a whole lot of videos on there. So I kind of wanted to show a little bit more in depth of what this is and kind of the problems that I ran into. Maybe give you guys some explanation as to what's behind this machine. Anyway, one thing I just found was that this little screw here is actually a specially threaded screw from Delta. It is not a normal thread pitch. You're not going to find it at the hardware store. I came close, but there's really nothing like it. So either you're using the wrong screw, or mine was basically missing, and it was the wrong screw was put in there. So I was thinking about just retapping it and just using something current, but I kind of wanted to go with as much stock things as I could. So anyway, I did find actually two places online that actually sold those screws. Took me quite a while to get them, but they're actually in the States, and I did get them. They're not terribly expensive, so I bought a couple, so I have one or two handy. So that's pretty cool. That allows you to apparently turn the blade 90 degrees. So if you want to cut this way or cut this way, you can. Yeah, I found this air blower nozzle. I just bought brand new, even though I made one that worked. I just kind of wanted as much as stock as I could, so I got that. I was missing this guard. This roller on my machine was very gouged out, so I got this whole little piece. This is kind of cool. I want to show you guys what this is, and the latest issue that I'm having. Basically, I had no idea what was in here. I knew that this takes oil. I had to drain oil out, and I need to refill that with oil. So in the process of that, obviously I have it all apart, and I just wanted to show you guys what that kind of looks like inside, because just like myself, I had no idea what was going on in there, and I was kind of afraid to open it. But once I got it open, it's pretty simple. It's actually pretty cool. So that's what that looks like, and as the motor turns, you can see kind of an offset, I don't know what you want to call that, like a counterweight maybe. This thing is kind of loose, and it kind of is free to ride up and down. This is where the oil sits. It's going to fill all of that up, probably to about here. So one issue that I'm having is I actually when I took this off, I wasn't sure if there was a gasket here or not, and there appeared to be a really, really worn-in gasket that I had to scrape off. So of course I wanted to put a gasket on there before I filled it with oil. So I actually went to the hardware store, automotive store, and bought a roll of basically do-it-yourself gasket, and I made my own gasket, and I'll show you that. This is what I came up with. So it's really thin, and it fits as best I could make it. So anyway, in the midst of all that, I found a resource that had the real gaskets. which I ordered and I got. This is one of them. As you can see, it kind of looks kind of crappy. I'm sure it was the right dimensions at one point in time, but because it's so kind of bent up, and this is, you know, relatively thin material, the holes are really not lining up very well. And you know, I don't know if I should, I'm going to try to, I don't know if I should force that or not. I'm pretty sure that that's just going to rip, and that's going to rip, and that's going to rip. I don't know how critical that is, but I would really like to, I'd prefer to use this over the one that I made, obviously. And another funny thing is, this inside diameter is not round at all. As you can see, it's like really ovalized here. That's all kind of flattened. It's got a lip to it. That's got a lip to it. So when I put my thicker gasket on, like that, there's all this material here, which I could obviously cut out with some scissors. But my point is, it's not round like you would think a machined part would be. It's really cast, and then they machine it. So anyway, my dilemma is, do I use the one that I made, or do I kind of futz with the one that's stock, and try, hopefully it doesn't rip. On this side, I actually did use the one that I made, so that's on there. So I'm kind of hoping for the best on that side. I don't know if I showed you in my other videos, but I welded this plate on, cut this hole out, welded a plate on, and installed this safety switch instead of using this, which now does nothing. This came out really good. Really pleased with that. As you can see, that's kind of what it looks like under there. A couple welds, wires going up and through there. Added some wood to the base just to give this like a little bit of a buffer, and it looks nice also. I just wasn't sure if I didn't want to paint it and then really scrape it up with, you know, moving this base, this top around. It just rips apart the paint. So I put some wood on there. Came out, it looks good, looks good. So I think I'm going to, this is the piece that goes on here, that this groove goes into this, and that just sits kind of like that, and you can kind of feel it get engaged. And quite honestly, it might even work without a gasket, but when I bought it, it was dribbling oil on the other side, so I assumed that, actually I think there was no gasket on that side, as a matter of fact, so I wanted to put at least something on there. So I'm going to try to put that gasket on, fill it with some oil, and get the thing running. And that's pretty much, once I do that, it's pretty much a done deal. Pretty cool. Pretty simple machine, actually. It's very unlike the way the newer scroll saws work. Basically, on a lot of the newer scroll saws, there's a whole mechanism that goes up and across, and it's tied over here, and the whole thing kind of goes up and down like that. Whereas this, really, you just need some kind of motor source, whether it's here or down below, that spins this hub, which is over here. And this is just a piston that just goes up and down. The top is just a spring-loaded mechanism that just basically, it's just like a little mini shock that just gets pulled and up and down. That's it. It's very, very simple. It's amazing actually how well built this machine is for what it actually really does. But anyway, I'm going to turn this off. hopefully the next video I'll have this on. I'll fill this with oil, put the top back on, put the blade in, and we'll turn it on. All right, see you in a bit.